Welcome to Sara Gonzales Unfiltered. Happy election eve, I guess. Tomorrow is the day, right? It's been nearly 4 years of weak leadership, higher prices on everything, by the way. Just abject lies, authoritarian dictatorship, open borders, violent crime, just all around bad policy, making America, I would say, less American. And I know there are a certain sector of people who call themselves Republican, who don't consider Trump their guy. He's not my guy. Many of you say that you're sitting it out. You're going to sit on the sidelines because Trump isn't perfectly conservative as you'd like, because he's flawed, like all of us. And so this protest is supposed to be some sort of a signal to the Republican Party that you reject this America First movement so we can one day go back to your idea of conservatism, whatever that is. Okay. Well, today, on my last show before the election, because tomorrow we will have live coverage, so you won't be seeing this show on Election Day, I would like for anyone who insists on staying home or anyone who is on the fence to just hear me out, okay? If there is only one part of today's show that you watch, let it be this. There is not an issue that exists that Donald Trump would not be leaps and bounds better than Comrade Kamala Harris. This is not hyperbole. This is literally Trump or communism. That's it. It is as simple and as clear as day as that. So let's take a look at some of the issues plaguing our country. And you tell me, is it really worth sitting it out? Is it really worth a President Kamala just to prove a point, just to stick it to the Republican Party? Let's look at illegal immigration, first of all. Conservative estimates of the illegals let into our country under Kamala's watch in nearly 4 years is 12 million unvetted strangers. Now, personally, I believe the estimates that are closer to 20 million. I think 12 million is far undercutting it. By the way, at least 99 potential Islamic terrorists roaming freely about our country. Venezuelan gangs literally taking over our apartment complexes with rifles and holding residents hostage. Oh, but legacy hacks like Martha Raddatz want you to take solace in the idea it's only a handful of apartment complexes. It's only a handful of people in this country here in America, what is supposed to be a sovereign first world country, who are being held up at gunpoint by Venezuelan gangs. It's only a handful. Now ask yourself, is sitting this one out because Donald Trump isn't your perfect ideal utopia of conservatism worth the lives of more Laken Rileys, of more Jocelyn Nungarays, murdered in cold blood at the hands of people who shouldn't be here but waltzed right in under Kamala's watch? Sure, maybe it wasn't your child. Next time it could be. Is that worth it? And that's not even factoring in the economic ramifications we will see for decades if we don't do something right now. There is a way out. It's on the ballot tomorrow, if you'll just go there. How about the economy? Inflation was up 20% over the first 45 months of Biden's term, compared to 7% during Donald Trump's first 45 months, which equates to annualized inflation rates 5.4 under Biden, 1.9 under Donald Trump. There it is, right there. I think we can all agree, by the way, it feels much higher than that when we look at our bank accounts. Oh, but don't worry. Don't worry. Kamala has a plan. Price controls, which undoubtedly leads to supply issues, which leads to rationing, which leads to bread lines. Just ask Venezuela. Are bread lines worth your protest? Is that worth it? How about gas? You know, for as much as WAPO and the New York Times want to publish stories right about now, gas prices are heading toward a 3-year low as election nears. That's because we have suffered astronomical highs at the gas pump under Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, not because gas is actually cheaper than previous presidencies. And remember, as much as Kamala wants you to forget she ever said she would ban fracking, she's actually on the record telling America she would ban fracking.
Will you commit to implementing a federal ban on fracking your first day in office, adding the United States to the list of countries who have banned this devastating practice?
There's no question I'm in favor of banning fracking. So, yes, and starting with what we can do on day one around public lands, right?
That's good.
And then there.
She's also part of the current administration that wants to mandate electric vehicles. If you like Teslas, totally fine. I get it. Not my cup of tea. I don't like having to map out where I'm going to stop to plug in my car for an extended amount of time, but that's fine. I get it. But banning fracking, and then mandating that we are not allowed to drive a gas-powered vehicle is stuff of dictators, guys. That is dictator stuff. That is tyranny. Under Donald Trump's energy policies, we were energy independent for the first time ever, and our gas prices reflected that. We were paying less than $2 per gallon. Do you even remember those days? Oil and gas can flourish in this country again. You can help right the wrong tomorrow. All you have to do is show up. Now, how about the issue of abortion? Because this is the one that I hear cited most as reasons for conservatives sitting out this election, which, by the way, in and of itself is so ironic because without Donald Trump, Roe versus Wade would still be the law of the land. You would still have states that were disallowed from making strong pro-life laws protecting the lives of innocent children. They would be disallowed to do that still if it weren't for Donald Trump putting who he put in the Supreme Court to overturn 50 years of bad law. Now, I want to be clear. Has he made comments that don't reflect like the strongest pro-life stance ever? Absolutely. But do you know what sitting out gets you? This is what I don't understand about this argument. He gave you the overturning of Roe versus Wade. What sitting out gets you is a woman who firmly believes in abortion up until the point of birth. A woman who voted against, listen to this, she voted against protecting babies who were born alive in a botched abortion attempt. You can have all the conversations you want about hyperbole, about whether or not abortion is, of course, killing a baby. You are talking about a woman who said, I don't want to save a baby who was born alive after a botched abortion. Can we not just agree that is murder? That's who you would have leading the country. Is that a win for your movement? Is that a win for the pro-life movement? Of course not. The answer is very clear. It's on the ballot tomorrow. How about all the foreign conflict going on across the world? There is instability all across the globe. Israel and Iran continue escalating their conflict. And by the way, under Joe and Kamala, we're currently funding both sides of this conflict. We're giving Iran access to billions of dollars to fund their terrorism, money that should not be lost on you. They did not have access to under Donald Trump. Didn't have it. He was strong on them. Their economy suffered under Donald Trump. They couldn't manage things like that under his leadership. And that's not the only global conflict. Ukraine and Russia continue fighting. And under Kamala and Joe, our leaders have approved nearly $175 billion of your money to go overseas to a war you have no vested interest in. Well, to be clear, you have no vested interest in it. The swamp does. Of course, they've been profiting off of war for a very long time. But you, just struggling to make ends meet, I have a feeling you don't agree. That America Last gravy train to foreign countries will just continue under Kamala, not only bankrupting us, but also sending us closer and closer to World War III. That is not hyperbole. It just is. Is it worth the risk of World War III? Worth the risk of sending our sons and our daughters to die? Is that protest over which flavor of conservatism worth that? Because the fact of the matter is, we had more world peace under Donald Trump's first term than ever before. The Abraham Accords brought promise of never-before-seen peace in the Middle East. Russia, while it should be noted, did invade Crimea during Trump's Democrat predecessor's tenure. Looking at you, Obama. You notice he didn't dare make a move in Ukraine under Donald Trump's watch. And so we have two track records to compare. Which do you prefer? I could do this all day. Violent crime up under Kamala. I know. The FBI was like, actually, that's not true. Crime is down. Oopsies. We made an oopsies. It turns out when we recalculated it, violent crime is up. Donald Trump was right. I know you fact-checked him during the debate. It turns out he was right all along. How many times have you heard that happen? So violent crime up under Kamala. Don't expect that to end anytime soon. She's buddy-buddy with the George Soros-installed DAs that are being selected and installed all across the country who are intentionally hard on you, soft on actual criminals. How about Second Amendment rights? Well, Trump made the mistake of banning bump stocks. Sure. Kamala has called for gun confiscation. Is that not a clear contrast? Is gun confiscation worth your little protest over your type of conservatism? Your life was markedly better under Donald Trump, and it wasn't even close. Even throughout COVID, you want to fault him for COVID and Operation Warp Speed? I did, and I do. I got it. But rather than giving you a personal apology, which it seems like some of you feel entitled to, you want a personal apology from Donald Trump of all the ways, all the decisions that he made during that time period, that unprecedented time period that were wrong, that he trusted the wrong people, rather than giving you a personal apology, which you may or may not have believed, he did something way more impactful. He teamed up with the COVID and Big Pharma critic, the Big Pharma skeptic RFK Jr., which will ensure that nothing like that ever happens again in a Trump administration. He got that wrong the first time around. He didn't get it wrong right now. You know, a lot of haters, they call me a Trump shill. You're a Trump shill when we have the primaries going on. I had DeSantis on my program. I love the guy. I gave him credit where I thought credit was due, and I still got called a Trump shill. I couldn't win. I'm not a Trump shill. If there are people getting checks in the mail for calling balls and strikes, I sure wish I was one of them. I've criticized him when he deserved it, and I've also celebrated his wins. But my advocacy for Donald Trump in the White House in January is not because I'm in some sort of a cult or I'm obsessed with the guy or anything like it. It is because I am fighting every single day to make this country a better place for this child right here. This child and his brother at home. It is because I don't have the time or the energy or the money to stay home just to prove a point to my own party. I don't have time for that. I have skin in the game right now. And I have a responsibility to my children to do everything I can to secure a brighter future for them. So if not for you, if you can't do it for you, if you can't show up tomorrow and vote and do it for you, do it for him. Do it for them. Do it for our future generation. All right. I cannot stress this enough. We are on the cusp of something incredible happening in this country, an alliance that is being formed like none other. So it literally is, it's either communism or, if that's not what you want, might I offer you an alternative?
What will we do with this moment? How will we be remembered? Look at the opportunities before us.
This election really isn't about the left versus the right. It's about we, the people, choosing our government and the choice between freedom versus tyranny.
Nobody has a chronic disease burden like we have. Why are we allowing this to happen to our children? Ultimately, the only thing that will save our country is if we choose to love our kids more than we hate each other.
what is going on here is deeper than politics. It is deeply spiritual. We are being called to rise above the hatred and the fear and the evil.
We need to remember above and beyond that we must love our neighbors, that we must treat other people as we hope to be treated.
You want to be a rebel? You want to be a hippie? You want to stick it to the man? Show up on your college campus and try calling yourself a conservative.
America is going to reach heights that it has never seen before. The future is going to be amazing!
Don't you want healthy children? Don't you want a president that's going to make America healthy again?
I come to you today as a former Democrat. I will be a first-time Trump voter tonight.
The people dreamed this country, and it's the people who are making America great again.
This is our moment. You want unity? We can have it. Show up. Donald Trump took a bullet for you. The least you can do is show up and vote. If not for you, do it for him. I got to take a quick break. And I got to tell you, if you're emotional, just wait until you hear from my next guest. First, I want to thank our sponsor, Relief Factor. So, look, those of you who are living in constant pain, you think that that's your life now. It doesn't have to be. Relief Factor is an all-natural anti-inflammatory that targets the root cause of your pain, which is, of course, the inflammation in your body. So if it's knee pain, neck pain, back pain, whatever the case may be, try Relief Factor. They've got a 3-week quick start, and 70% of the people that order that go on to keep ordering more. It's working for that many people. The odds are in your favor that it will work for you. And they have a guarantee. So you literally have it's $20 to try the 3-week quick start, but they've got a guarantee. So you've got nothing to lose except your pain. Wouldn't that be life-changing? Go to relieffactor.com. Get that 3-week quick start over at relieffactor.com. So one of the issues that I mentioned in going into tomorrow with a very clear contrast in policy is, of course, illegal immigration. And I mentioned, do we want more Laken Rileys, Jocelyn Nungarays? Do we want more innocent Americans killed at the hands of illegal immigrants? It doesn't have to be that way. Donald Trump recently released an ad that was relating to a story that I followed very closely, and it moved me to tears. I'm going to try really hard not to cry when we play it here. This is Jocelyn Nungaray's mother, Alexis, in one of Trump's campaign ads. Watch.
Sunday night, I asked her to not stay up super late because of her coming to work with me in the morning first to do her summer school. She said, okay. I told her good night and I love you. I went to bed, not realizing that that was going to be the last time I saw her.
We're best friends. Yeah. We're going to shake it again.
I woke up to notice she wasn't in her bed. I'm in my heart trying not to lose my mind because I don't know where she is. I finally remembered her phone had a location on, and her phone was pinging just 2 minutes down the road, right behind the skate park. I start driving to the direction the phone was being pinged at, and I see a couple cop cars with lights on. I see yellow tape, and immediately my heart drops and sinks to the bottom of my stomach. My daughter's hands and ankles were both bound. She was strangled to death, left with no pants. And I know in my heart, she fought incredibly hard. She was not going down without a fight.
We begin with two men we're learning are charged with capital murder tonight, accused of killing a 12-year-old girl.
Police say these men strangled her before dumping her into that creek. Both men were in the country illegally.
Apprehended, then released by Border Patrol less than 3 weeks before Jocelyn's death. The men accused of killing Jocelyn Nungaray are affiliated with the gang known for brutal violence.
Kamala Harris did have one job, and she not only failed, not me, she failed my daughter. She failed Jocelyn. You know, she was only 12.
I want to welcome to the show Alexis Nungaray, mother of Jocelyn. I am so sorry for your loss. I'm going to try. I feel bad even like getting emotional. I can't imagine what you're going through, Alexis. But I want to ask you, did you find out what happened in the process to allow these men into this country under the Biden-Harris administration?
And different times. You know, one was apprehended back in March, and one was apprehended towards the end of May. I can never remember the exact dates, but both of them were apprehended and were released within the same 24-hour time frame. One was released with a ankle monitor for sure. I don't know for certain if it was both of them or just one, but I know for a fact one was released with an ankle monitor. I don't understand why they needed an ankle monitor in the first place. What was the reasoning? It's very frustrating to know that Border Patrol was unable to do their job due to the administration policies that we have. And one of the individuals being released at the end of May, just 3 weeks later, they somehow were in contact with my daughter that same night when they saw her, and they decided to do what they did.
So I get very mom to mom. Right. I get very heated when I talk about this particular subject because, you know, there are a lot of people who say, well, there are bad people in America, right? There are murderers in America. But it's like, it doesn't have to be this way. Even just 1, 2, 3 individuals that we are allowing into our country who are going to inflict harm on American citizens is too many. And I feel like some people push back on me when I say the Biden-Harris administration has blood on their hands for how they have handled this open border crisis. Is that hyperbole to you? When I say that, is that hyperbole to you that they have blood on their hands?
No, it's facts. It's factual. Jocelyn is not the only life that was taken. There are so many more. There's Laken Riley, there's Rachel Moore, and there's Maria Gonzalez, who is another person here in Houston, right outside of Houston, in Pasadena. It's horrid to know the policies that have been accepted, and it's just very, very, very infuriating.
So obviously, you allowed Donald Trump's campaign to use your story, your voice. You've visited on the campaign trail with Donald Trump. Presumably, you endorse him because of his policy on the border, which is the complete opposite as what we're seeing right now. What has your experience been with Donald Trump on the campaign trail?
He's been incredibly helpful. They've really checked in and just seen how I'm doing per se. I know Donald Trump is a father. He is a grandfather. He has that compassion behind him and that empathy, and we need that essentially to run this country. We need someone who has compassion and who can genuinely care about the people of this country. And it doesn't feel like he's a president reaching out to me, yes, because of the name per se, but ultimately every conversation I've had with him over the phone, it's like I'm talking to a grandpa or I'm talking to an older uncle, and it's just his warmest regards of just checking in on me and him apologizing on behalf of the country, which he shouldn't have to be apologizing to me. There should be a completely different administration that should be apologizing to me that still has not apologized. And it is very heartfelt to hear his words and to just know that I have someone who can make change standing behind me and my family to help prevent more Jocelyn's.
Yeah. Yeah. So to be clear, you said the Biden-Harris administration has yet to reach out to you at all.
They have not reached out to me at all, not even as I'm reaching out to you on behalf of so-and-so. No, nothing. It's just, it really takes nothing to give a 2-minute phone call. Right. It takes two minutes to send an email, and just in regards, you don't want to pick up the phone to speak, that's fine. But I know if you have to apologize, that means you're taking accountability of some sort, and that's something the Biden-Harris administration will not do.
Yeah. Do you plan on doing any type of organization to honor Jocelyn in her life?
I do. I'm still in the early processes of it. I'm trying to learn how nonprofit organizations work and just getting the ideas behind it. But I do want to do something in honor of her. Her biggest dream was to be an actress. She wanted to be famous. She wanted everyone to know her name. I want to do something in regards to trying to do some sort of organizations where I can help underprivileged kids who can't afford acting classes or who aspire to have the same dreams as her, and just do something in honor of her. Or do something in regards to animals. She wanted every stray animal to have a home. I'll never forget when she brought a pigeon from somewhere outside into my home and was trying to nurse it back to health. And just the germs that were going through my mind, that was the kind of heart she had. She just wanted every animal to have a home. She's brought in a bin of like 10 toads. She was trying to take care and nurture. She just had this kind soul and this nurture soul. And I would love to do something in honor of the things she truly loved.
So I want to end with this, Alexis. What would you say to those who are not sure if they want to go out and vote tomorrow?
People who do not want to vote or do not see an importance behind voting, it's a dangerous, dangerous thing to not involve yourself in, because as much as I want to say Jocelyn will be the last child that loses her life, she unfortunately will not. The United States is way too big. We have way too many corrupt people who are here, evil people who are here, but not securing border policies and not making safe borders for this country, for all children. That's why I'm speaking up. It was solely me speaking up for Jocelyn, but it's turned into something way bigger than Jocelyn. It's me fighting for all these other kids. There should not be any other parents that have to go through what I'm going through. And I know there's not a lot of parents that can sit here and do what I'm doing. I don't know how I have the strength, or I don't know how the bravery has just came out of my soul, but it has somehow, by the grace of God. It's put me in a light to spread awareness and to make it known that it is so important to vote, because you choosing to vote and not wanting to secure the borders, that is you voting to not want to protect the kids that we have in this country who are supposed to be our future.
Yeah. Alexis, will you keep me posted on the nonprofit whenever you get that all sorted? I would love to help any way that I can. Your bravery and your strength is an inspiration to me. I am so sorry for what happened to you, and I hope that America corrects that tomorrow.
Thank you so much. I do pray as well. And we're almost there.
Yeah. Yeah. Just stay strong, okay?
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you as well.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye. All right. This is going to be an emotional episode, all right? I want to thank our sponsor. Before we go to break, I'm going to bring on the panel. I want to thank our sponsor, Patriot Mobile. Americans are tired of what's going on. I mean, we have children dying. It doesn't have to be this way. We've got inflation. We've got endless wars. We've got all sorts of things going on. Thankfully, there are companies like Patriot Mobile that still believe in America and our Constitution and our founding documents. I was just with Patriot Mobile last night at my friend Mitch Little's Get Out the Vote rally. He is running for Texas state rep in HD 65 for those of you who are here in Texas. And I was just with Patriot Mobile because that's what Patriot Mobile does. They show up at these local Get Out the Vote rallies. They show up to flip school boards conservative. They are on the front lines making sure that this country stays conservative, stays focused on the First and Second Amendments, the sanctity of life. And of course, they are always doing what they can to honor our military and first responder heroes. So Patriot Mobile, there's no reason for you guys to not go there. They've got all of the big major wireless networks. They've got access to all of them. So you're not going to lose your coverage, okay? You're not going to lose your phone number. You can take your phone over if you want to. Just go check them out because odds are you're going to save money and you know that you will not be funding woke companies that hate you. Go to patriotmobile.com/Sarah. Get a free month when you use the offer code Sarah. That is patriotmobile.com/Sarah. Welcome to the show. Our panel today, we've got Jaco Booyens, Blaze TV contributor, and of course, founder of Jaco Booyens Ministries, along with Pat Gray, host of Pat Gray Unleashed, which you can find right here on Blaze TV or wherever you get your podcasts. Just make sure you're subscribed, okay? Or else. Just thought I'd add a little additional.
I think a thread is good.
Yeah, just every now and then, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like there's a theme of this particular show, and it's really just, what the hell are you waiting for? Get out and vote. You see who the clear-cut choice is to vote. And I just talked to Alexis Nungaray, devastating what happened to her, and even on this one particular issue, illegal immigration, it's just not even close. I mean, this could be the only driving factor. And that should drive every single American to the polls to go vote for Donald Trump. Because one American citizen who is killed by an illegal immigrant who shouldn't have been here, who came in through an open border, is one too many. And I want to play, Jaco, you've done a lot of work down at the border. And I want to play some of the footage that you uncovered. I believe was this a couple years ago?
No. This one is 20.
This one is recent. Okay.
Recent, yeah.
Okay. So let's play some of what Jaco has actually uncovered down at the border as well. Watch.
The babies were found right here.
Okay.
There were 4 little girls that looked like they were under 5. I was at home. Jimmy called me. And, he sent me a text with a picture of these children laid out on the ground sleeping, and one small one crawling around naked.
Those of you who are listening on audio podcasts, these are just homemade graves
which
of
is a local
babies.
county cemetery in Eagle Pass, and behind us is a disturbing scene. It's a grave site for people, John and Jane Does, but also 2 baby does that have died on the border and are buried here. And it's something that really disturbed me, Victor. What I saw back here and what we learned about how these bodies were buried was disturbing. We learned from someone who works here that dig these graves of some of the realities behind us, that there are people buried back here, children and adults whose family members may be looking for them, that don't know that they're buried here, or family members, even worse, that may think that their children or their loved ones are alive in the US. Meanwhile, they're buried in a bizarre way. What were you told about how these bodies are buried?
These are bodies that came here to the county after they died on the county. Obviously, there were illegal immigrants coming in. The county had run out of funds to do the DNA testing to see who they were. Jeez. They had no identification on them. They wanted to give them some kind of a burial, some kind of respect, so they used their own county cemetery to do that. It was 48 total, 2 of them children. And there were some mistakes done there by the county. Some of the bodies that were now buried in these identification codes do not match what actually ends in the grave.
So what we learned about that was there was some family that said, hey, listen, we're looking for our loved one. And we think that our loved one may be buried here. And then a grave was dug up, and the code, as you will see on screen, the code that's on the plaque under the cross has a number per person that the person and the number didn't match. So they thought it was a man, but it was a woman. And now families can't get closure. And I said off camera, universally, one of the most important things, and no matter what culture, is the ability to say goodbye and to have a proper burial and to mourn and to celebrate life. For these people, that's not the case.
The left always makes the argument that we are not the compassionate ones. How inhumane is it for them to encourage these people to make this dangerous journey, and at the end of their life, this is what they've been reduced to?
Thank you for showing the whole clip. I know it was lengthy, but that's the point I want to make. Yeah. And that's Victor Avila, who was a special agent in Mexico, who took fire by the cartel, took 2 bullets, almost died, and his partner died. Agent Zapata, Jaime Zapata, died protecting Americans. That's the point. It's not just that we say on this show they don't care about human life. They don't care about the migrants' lives. They don't care about any life. I'm standing with a gravedigger who's a 21-year-old kid that works for like $7.50 an hour, and he tells me, hey, the graves are only 3 to 4 feet deep. It's CBP, Biden administration, Border Patrol that's ordering these graves to be dug. They get buried in plastic bags. I hold the plastic bags. He didn't want to go on camera. He said, I'll lose my job. It's my only job. I'm standing in those graves, Sarah. My feet sink this deep into, he tells me they're going to wash up. This is how they treat human life. Mm-hmm. This is the border czar, Kamala Harris, and Joe Biden that's saying, they die, they die. Bury them in a shallow grave. You saw those crosses? Do you know who paid for those crosses? A Texas citizen. Not the government. A Texas citizen said, good night. Can we at least put a cross up that says baby John Doe? Mm-hmm. Children, people... I'm telling you, this administration does not care about life. It's despicable. Now you got some foreign child buried on U.S. soil in some shallow grave. Sarah, that's not the America I immigrated to.
No.
And what are these immigrants dying of? Is it thirst? Is it heat stroke? Is it?
It's heat stroke.
Being murdered by the cartel.
Murdered by the cartel. Another clip we show on my social media. The cartel literally says they decapitate them. Some of those burials were dismembered body parts that was put together by this 21-year-old kid in a bag.
Wow.
But they don't report on this. Where's that report? Kamala Harris saying, "Well, here's all the graves of the people that have died on the border on our watch." Right.
I've thought many times that. One of the mistakes we've made on the right is not focusing on this aspect of illegal immigration more.
Yep. Correct.
We should have attacked it from their side of it. Yeah. This is not safe for them.
Right. No.
They're not. This is not good for them. Even when they make it to the United States without ID, without being a documented citizen, there's a ceiling that's on the floor for them. They can go as high as the floor, and that's it. And they'll never go above that because they don't speak the language. They're not legally here, so they can't benefit from all that America has to offer. It's really a shame. It's really sad and tragic. And it's one of the angles that we probably haven't talked about enough.
Yeah, I know I have tried to sound the alarm on it, but it's like, you're right. The rest of conservative media only wants to talk about, and while obviously valid, is the devastating toll it takes on Americans.
Yes.
but it's so inhumane. I mean, think about the children. You know, AOC was like, oh, they're crying at the fence. Their kids are in cages. Yeah, you know what the alternative is? We don't know that child is with an actual family member.
Right.
And you want to house them with a total stranger?
Trafficker.
Right.
Correct. They get trapped.
That's not humane.
To Pat's point, here's your destiny. You get sold for sex, forced labor, or you end up in a 3.5-foot shallow grave.
Right.
On American soil.
Right. Yeah.
And the angle is it shows the character of the leadership. If they don't care about that human being, they're not going to care about you. And we have not spent enough, not this, outlet.
The movement.
But the movement has not spent enough time on, hey, they're lying to you. If you die, you die. They don't care about the migrant, because it was all compassion. We're the party of compassion. Everybody come in. Yeah, come in and come be in a shallow grave.
Right.
And we won't tell anybody about it, mind you.
Right.
Stop DNA testing. Don't know who's there. It's a despicable. Anybody tomorrow that votes for Kamala Harris, to me, at this point, it's treasonous. You're anti-American. You're anti-life. You're anti-humanity. To be frank, I mean, this is we go nuts as we should over a squirrel euthanized, right? Which is all fair.
Mm-hmm.
It's all fair. That gravedigger told me he thinks that child was 9 months old.
These are human beings.
Right.
Okay.
Difference.
Yeah. Exactly.
They do not care.
This is what we should be up in arms about.
Yeah. All right, let's go ahead and let's take a quick break. And then I want to talk about NBC's little scramble that they had over the weekend. We'll be right back. So over the weekend, there was headlines. Breaking news, Kamala diverts plane to go make surprise appearance at Saturday Night Live, which I'm sure there were like tens and tens of people watching. But so Kamala went on and did this little skit with Maya Rudolph. Here's some of that.
It's nice to see you, Kamala. It is nice to see you, Kamala. And I'm just here to remind you, you got this. Because you can do something your opponent cannot do. You can open doors.
Oh, so here's the problem with that. Federal law actually requires that broadcasters provide comparable time and placement to all of the qualified candidates when they have this equal time rule. And they had, 48 hours before the election? So it's very convenient for Kamala to take that detour to SNL and, of course, presumably not allow Donald Trump that equal time. You had the FCC commissioner, Brendan Carr, he was doing like Twitter spaces about it. He was calling them out on Twitter. He said this is a clear and blatant effort to evade the FCC's equal time rule. The purpose of the rule is to avoid exactly this type of biased and partisan conduct, a licensed broadcaster using the public airwaves to exert its influence for one candidate on the eve of the election, unless the broadcaster offers equal time to other qualifying campaigns. Now, to make matters even more sinister, you had Lorne Michaels, who's the EP, the executive producer of SNL, who said I think it was a couple months ago, he said, no candidates are going to appear on SNL because of this rule. He actually cited the rule and said, we can't do that, so we're just not going to have anyone on. And so I guess they got really worried, NBC did, about what was going to come next because they all of a sudden allowed Donald Trump some campaign ad time during Sunday Night Football and NASCAR to give him that equal time. Here was some of that ad.
Hello to our great sports fans, and I hope you're having a fantastic time. We're 2 days away from the most important election in the history of our country. We've got to save our country, and it needs saving. It's in very bad shape.
So it went on a little bit longer, but they decided after getting all of the heat, we might be in trouble. So I guess we'll let Donald Trump do that. Great scramble by the Trump campaign to get that out as quickly as they did as well.
Great scramble. Great sports fans.
Hello, sports fans. I hope you're having fun doing all of the sportsing that you're doing.
Great sports fans. Make America great again. Look, I mean, they are absolutely chasing their tail at this point. They are. This is the pasta theory. Throw it all on the wall and see what sticks. I mean, it's fun to see them scramble. I just pray that it results in a Wednesday morning landslide. I hope. I pray.
Well, that was what I was going to ask you guys next. What do you think?
I feel cautiously optimistic about it. I think he's going to win, but man, I hear it. I hear both sides of it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's too close to call. Oh, she's got momentum now. No, he's up by a point in every swing state. Who knows at this point? I don't know. Are people lying to the pollsters? Are people just keeping quiet about it?
Right.
Have all the people who have already voted in early voting, are they just not participating in polls anymore? I mean, there's a whole bunch of alternatives here. And I don't know which one is reality. But I love the fact that NBC got called out on this. I'm sure they thought they'd get away with it because normally they would.
For a minute.
But they didn't this time. That's awesome.
Well, I think it also goes to how desperate they must feel for Kamala to win, that they already cited the rule. They already knew that was a rule, and they still took the risk.
Yep.
Knowing that was the rule, hoping what? No one was going to call them out on it? I mean, that's pretty dumb.
Well, there is a fail-safe, right? Like, hey, let's run it, and if they call us out on it, we give them time.
We'll give them time, yeah.
We give them time with these fans already. Throw them in NASCAR.
Right.
It's already his people, it's not...
Well, that's okay, because that's already Kamala's people.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly, so, but you said cautiously optimistic. I feel like that's how we felt in 2020.
Yeah.
And this thing it could be a coin toss, which is not good. I mean, I pray for a landslide, but this...
we need a landslide.
We need a landslide. Yeah. We need such an overwhelming victory that they start moving their focus to March, that they say, let's go fight for the Senate, which Mitch McConnell is not doing us a favor, but let's go battle there, because how do we stop him now?
Right.
Like they did with Hillary, because they were convinced that he was going to win. He wins, they go, crap, how do we impeach this guy?
Right.
Get the House. That's what I want. If we don't know, you said it, no, I'm not, but we need to know. I don't want to take your words off camera. We need to know soon. That he won. Sure. Otherwise, we're going to go to deep water, and that's not necessarily good.
Yeah, and I appreciate you saying that. Yeah, no, my point was just I realize Pennsylvania has already come out. It's going to come down to Pennsylvania, and they've already come out and said we may not know for a couple days, whatever they said. Yeah. That makes me nervous because the longer that we wait for the result, the longer they have to find the ballots. To make up the difference. The only thing will be if it is way too big in Pennsylvania for them to even attempt to try to make up the difference. That's what we need. By the way, those of you who are in Pennsylvania, go check my Twitter. I retweeted something from Scott Pressler encouraging Pennsylvanians. There's a way to go check and make sure that your mail-in ballot was received. So make sure to go check that in the system. Don't just assume as much. Pat, you were going to say something.
I keep hearing that there are safeguards in place this time.
Yeah.
And so that gives me a little bit of hope because I know
RNC is on it.
Yeah, they are. And they have to be.
Yeah.
And they know that. I mean, Trump has talked about this enough to where you better hope they did something about it between 2020 and now.
Right.
And we don't have COVID to deal with.
Right.
So we shouldn't be having drop boxes. There shouldn't be mail-ins for no reason. You should have to go to the polling place and place your vote and show your ID and do all the things that are just reasonable when you're talking about something this important.
Right.
Yeah, I'll look in our organization was part of training 300 precinct chairs in Texas. And I can tell you, for instance, in Dallas, the lawyers are ready. They're ready. But you don't want to go there, though. You don't want to go to, hey, now we got to go subpoena, but they're ready.
No, right.
I mean, we're definitely in a better position than we were. But golly, I'm just praying that he's up by the millions to where it's just like, there's no way. We don't have this, because we don't want to get into a legal battle and see a Bush Gore nonsense.
Would not be good for the country.
No.
It's my final plea, guys. Go out, get Dark MAGA activated, go vote. If not for you, do it for the future generation. We've got to get Trump back in the White House.